The following feature has been rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America. This indicates that the film contains mature material. Parents may wish to consider whether it should be viewed by children under 17.
I'll be home in the morning.
Where are you going?
I'm staying over at Susie's tonight.
What's new? The flyer.
The papers call him the grabber.
I wish you wouldn't call him that.
You don't actually believe that story, do you? Because he can't hear you, and he doesn't really take kids that safe.
Oh, you goof. Well, isn't that just peachy keen?
You need some help?
You see that?
Yeah.
Would you hand me my hat? Yes, sir. I am a part-time magician.
Are those black balloons in there?
Would you like to see a magic trick?
I have an announcement to make. One of our students, Finney Blake, was abducted.
What if I could help the police find Finney?
Doesn't work. Not since I was a kid.
I'll scream. I'll scratch your face.
This face?
Daddy, I had a dream about him.
What happened in your dream?
He was taken.
By a man with black balloons.
Yes.
We never released those details.
Hello?
Don't hang up.
Who are you?
You know all our names?
You're getting out of here.
Please let the dreams be real.
See the wall in front of you? I tore a long cable loose from down there.
There's a combination lock on the inside of the storm door.
What's the combination?
I carved it in the wall. The tree, the door, the gate. I'd never seen it before except in my dream.
You don't have much time. You're gonna use a weapon. You raise the phone, step back, and swing.
Look what you made me do.
Please hurry.
You remember what I told you?
There's someday I have to stand up for myself.
Someday is today, Finn.
It's the 10th year of my movie month. 30 movies, 30 days. Movie month, 30 podcasts, 30 days. Movie month, 30 movies, 30 days, 30 podcasts. It's year 10.
If you read the podcast description for this episode, I asked myself two questions because I wrote this description like 6 hours ago, 6 or 7 hours ago. I said, A, would I like this movie? Did I like this movie? And B, did I like the Indian food that I ate this evening? I don't have a lot of, I bet, and if you didn't read the description, you're like, you weren't expecting it to go this way. I haven't had a lot of experience with Indian food. I've had, years ago, some guys I work with took me to a place in Boston that was pretty good. We used to do this meal delivery service that you get like frozen food, or it wasn't frozen, but you'd heat it up, and I got some Indian food there that I liked. And then tonight, and that's the full scope of my Indian food experience. And I have to say, I enjoyed it. It was great because I've been friends. I went with two guys, one of which I've been friends for over 30 years, another guy I've been friends with for over 40 years, and we just hung out and ate Indian food and made each other laugh. So that was fun. Then I came home, and my dog was in daycare all day. So I thought she'd be tired. No. She wants to go for a walk, so we went for a big walk. Then I came home from that, and it's like, I want to watch my movie. And finally, I sat down and watched the 2022 or 2021, depending on where you're looking at it, film The Black Phone, which I have wanted to see since the original trailer came out. I don't know if it was available to watch until after last year's movie month, so it was on the list of films to finally get to and enjoy this year. And I can't say enough how much I enjoyed this movie. It was scary, but not full. It wasn't over the top horror. It was psychological horror, but then also supernatural. Not even supernatural horror, but supernatural kind of. I don't know. That was like the hope was almost in the supernatural side, and the horror was in the reality side of things. And this might be the first time that I've put my face on the killer in the movie. But there was only so many faces to put in this movie, and Ethan Hawke's portrayal or his character in this movie was awesome in a creepy, freaky, just disgusting way. Awesome. He played the Grabber. That was his name. I don't think we ever got I don't think they ever said an actual name, even at the end, which the cop was talking about how, he was on the little press conference at the scene of the crime. I think he just said the perpetrator known as the Grabber. But, this movie was scary, and like the idea of kids getting kidnapped, the van showing up and kidnapping a kid. This is 1978, and I was a kid. I was only 2 years old then, but I remember being a kid, and my friend's grandmother, the same friend that I went to tonight, being like, don't go, down this road. There's a blue van who's kidnapping kids. And I don't remember ever hearing about any kids being kidnapped. You think it'd be in the news, but it was probably a way to just scare people. But I remember always thinking the blue van. And I think I saw a blue van once in the neighborhood, and I remember freaking out and running home. I believe that actually happened. And I don't think I thought about that until just now. But and then I joke about on a Twitter account that I have I joke about with my cousin that he owns a van. He likes to drive around and look for area teens. That's what I say. It's completely inappropriate, but I just like to tweet horrible things about him on a completely different Twitter account that I use when I talk about wrestling. Yeah, I'm that guy. But anyway, the van showing up, the way that this movie was so, I thought, well done. Now, it was creepy with the realistic kidnapping. It was spooky with the, you bringing in the psychological, not psychological, the paranormal, the ability, like psychics, like that whole stuff. It wasn't, I guess I knew it was some sort of paranormal, some sort of supernatural aspect because of the name of the movie is The Black Phone, and in the trailer you see like there's a phone ringing, in this cell where this kid's been kidnapped. What I didn't expect was there also to be this outside kind of world with his sister being a psychic, and you come to find out her mother was a psychic, and to the point where it consumed her. And you got the father, and played by Jeremy Davies, who I know from Saving Private Ryan, from Lost, from Justified. The guy is great in this, but I think when you saw the paper, the paper he was looking at the beginning, I think they were saying that he was a Vietnam vet, I think, maybe, and he's a widower. He says, we find out later that his wife took his life. His wife had these visions, and he did not want it for his children, or so bad that when he found out his daughter was saying she had these visions, he beat her. He beat her bad, and that was a very upsetting scene, but well acted by everybody. Like the brunt of this movie the movie really hinges on the two siblings, the brother Finn by the end, who is the kid who got taken, and his sister, who Gwen, who is kind of has these psychic powers and is trying to find her brother. Oh, excuse me. It is 10:47. But here's the thing. I did everything. I prepped. I got the picture done. I got I'm ready to go, ready to get this up and published pretty quickly once I finish discussing it with you. So it all hinges on these two kids. And I thought they did, as the movie went on, I was like, oh, these kids are doing a really, really good job. And there was other kids in the film that you are at the beginning you see, and then they come in later at the end. I'm spoiling the movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It's on Prime right now. So these kids end up coming in as ghosts by the ghost phone. And they're there. They're kind of trying to help him get out. And I like that each little kid had tried something in the past and it didn't quite work, and so they're telling him what they tried, but they left behind things for him to kind of put clues together, and at one point he's almost able to get out. I mean, we don't know what I guess Ethan Hawke's character, the grabber, he just grabs these kids and kills them. I hope that's all that it is. They never lead it to be anything else. But it's all seems to be young boys, but not little kids, like teenagers, like young teenagers, but maybe 12, maybe like junior high age, I'm guessing. And it's just, you know what's happening. You know it's coming in the trailer. So every time you see a kid alone, all of a sudden riding his bike down the street, I'm like, oh shit. Oh God. And I'm almost like, you can't look. And I love, this movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, I believe his name is. And he makes these horror movies, but then he went on to do the big budget Marvel movie, Doctor Strange. And I think after that, he was like, I don't want to come back for Doctor Strange 2. I want to go back and make these smaller movies. And he comes back and makes The Black Phone. Now, what was awesome today is that when I called my friend, same friend that I went to Indian food with, I said, I'm watching The Black Phone tonight. He goes, oh, that's a really good movie. He goes, that's a really good movie. It's based on a true story. I go, yeah, what? You're telling me that a guy who kidnaps kids and then there's a magic phone that talks to ghosts is based on a true story? And then he lost it laughing, and I realized I think he must have thought I was talking about a different movie, or he must have, I don't know what the hell he thought that this was based on a true story. What it actually is based on is a short story by Joe Hill. And if you don't know Joe Hill, his full name is Joe Hill King, or I think that's his full name. He's Stephen King's son. He's a writer who's written a bunch of things that I've enjoyed. I've done a movie month of him in the past called Horns with Daniel Radcliffe. I've read comic books that he's written. He's just a good writer who I would read other things, any other kind of thing that he does. Trying to think, where was I? Oh, so Scott Erickson directed this movie, and I like that it's set in the 1978, so it kind of has that nostalgic feel that people my age gravitate towards. It did, I've always been a sucker of, a group of kids solving a mystery. You kind of got that in a weird way, where you got the kid the kid that gets kidnapped, the main kid, trying to figure it out with the help of ghosts, while at the same time his sister's outside trying to figure out what's going on with the help of her dad and the help of these dreams. It gets to the point where the dad, you hate him. You hate him for beating her up. You sympathize with him for realizing why he was upset, not how he handled it, but why he was upset and what he thinks it could lead to and what it led to for his wife. But once he kind of realizes, well, this is kind of real. He supports his daughter. He takes her out one night looking. He doesn't completely shut her down. So I like that little scene between them. The movie's not tremendously long. It's only an hour and 43 minutes. And the first half hour of the movie is really, it's set up. I checked. He wasn't kidnapped till 30 minutes into the movie. Excuse me. And I have to say, I like that because what it did was it really set up everything. Except, of course, the Black Phone, which is the title of the movie. So it set up who these characters are. It gave them personality, character. Like, you really sympathized with them, but you kind of became acquainted with them, and I think you learned to really like them. This Finn kid is he gets beat up at school. He's got one kid who beats the shit out of a bigger kid earlier in the movie, and he is like this tough kid who stands up for Finn. They have a good friendship. Finn tutors him, helps him out with his grades, and he sticks up for him with friends. That kid gets taken. There's a baseball game that starts the game. Finn's got a really good arm. They I don't know if they ever used that, but he definitely can swing a phone. He has a really good arm. He almost strikes this kid out at the beginning. Kid's like, "Hey man, you have a great arm. You almost got me," and that kid gets taken. Then there's a few other kids that we hear from, and really it's because we met them, or he knows about them because he knows these kids being taken. Like, he doesn't. We don't see these kids before. The only kids we saw before were his friend. I think it's Robin and Bruce. I believe those are the only two that we see beforehand. But there's the kids being taken. It's the grabber, and then they show it in the trailer. You see friggin' Ethan Hawke show up, abracadabra, this big black van, and he's got this pale face, and he's wearing these glasses, and it's almost like I thought maybe he was like, just, I don't know, something wrong with his face, but he was wearing makeup, and it seemed like the whole part of this movie is Ethan Hawke hates himself, or hates the way he looks, or something. But then again, I guess when he goes out in public, it's not that way. Because when he's out in public, he could walk around and go to hardware stores. But in the house, he shows the top of his face. He shows the bottom of his face. He never shows his full face. Finally, at the end, when Finn smacks him in the head, knocks his mask off, he looks like he's like, oh, like he freaks out, like he can't. He gets Finn. You think he's going to get him, but they knock the mask off, and that really bugs him. Like, he's like, I'm ugly, I'm hideous. So it totally freaks him out to the point where he gets distracted, and then Finn just friggin' destroys him, and it's excellent. It's excellent. The only thing I would have done was I would have used the top of the toilet. He had that top of the toilet. He used that to dig and crack through that wall, all for naught. But it did end up it all kind of worked out, because it did end up getting him the steak. and the stake he was able to use against the dog. So it all kind of worked out. And he had the combination for the lock from another kid. And I love that it was right across the street. Like, the sister thought she was so close, and I thought, oh God, this whole house is empty. And then they said, there's a basement, but there's something blocking it. I'm like, there was nothing blocking this the whole time. That's because there was a house with the bodies across the street from the house with the cell with the kidnapper. And somehow he was able to distract his brother the entire time. Like, his brother didn't know what was going on down there the whole time. He goes, my brother's an idiot, but he was my idiot. I like that. There was this other kid who reminded me of Billy and Eddie Munson, kind of that punk, long-haired, beat the crap out of kids kid that reminded me of the Stranger Things a little bit. He was a kid that kind of helped him. He actually was in a dream with Gwen, but he also helped Finn try to, figure out, use a freezer, which ended up getting to the stakes. All in all, just a movie that had really good atmosphere, creepy, but it, even with an hour and 45 minutes, even with not a long movie, it took its time to get you someplace. And then it kind of all happened pretty quickly. And as I said, those two kids carried this movie. That early on, the girl, when her brother's getting beat up, she grabs a rock and smacks the dude against the head. She's swearing left and right. Then later, she's yelling at Jesus, swearing at him. Like, she's just got attitude. And I just thought she was just really good in her role. And the kid was too. At first, I wasn't sure. I was like, is this kid, is he okay? Like, is the sister the better actor? Who's the better actor here? But then once the time went on, I realized, no, this kid's really good in this role. This whole character is perfect, and I just loved the setting of it. It still had this atmosphere of nostalgia because it had some good rock songs in it, had old bikes in it, the kind of bikes that kids my age would ride around in. And Ethan Hawke was friggin' great in his. He was so creepy, and like, he was just like, I'm not gonna hurt you, and sometimes he'd laugh, hee hee. I was just gonna let you go if you. And then he asked him his name, and Finn lied, but he already had the newspaper. He goes, to think I was gonna let you go. And at one point he gets up and he goes by the Ethan Hawke sleeping. And I'm thinking to myself, take a knife, drive it into his neck, and just take your time and unlock and go. And and I thought, he's never going to get out. He actually did unlock, and he got out, and he ran. Now, we didn't know where he was. I never noticed the tree or not. Like, they did a good job of him leaving the house, but already being down the street, so you wouldn't have seen the front yard. Noticed that the big tree wasn't there, because it's not the house that Gwen thought it was. It's the house across the street. So I thought that was all well done, all well put together. This was based on a short story by Joe Hill. I want to go read that short story now. I'm sure it's just as bright. Actually, this movie, it wasn't completely dark. There was signs of brightness, but I feel like the story might be very dark. But I want to read it. I like at the end, and I felt like it would happen this way, that the dad would be like, I'm so sorry, and maybe he'd come back as like, maybe now he'd kind of think more or act better around his kids. He has a bit of a drinking problem, and he has a bit of an abuse problem, but I'm hoping from here things change, and that's no longer the case. And I think that's it. I think I've exhausted every thought I have about this movie. Original, just like a nice original concept, not based on anything. The ghost talking, helping people, I guess, is not an original concept completely, but I like the way it was handled in this story. It's just a nice little ghost story, kind of a ghost story where the ghosts aren't bad. The ghosts are good. And human man is bad. And I like that these cops never didn't take the cops, even though at the end they're like, the cops who cracked the case. I'm like, well, actually, his little sister cracked the case. But I like that the cops took her seriously, like never discounted her. And she gave him hell at the beginning of the movie. So just all in all, and I love at the end, Finn, my thought was, this kid's going to be scarred for life, and he's going to need therapy, and it's really like he's going to have sleepless nights. But he walks into school, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's the guy who killed the grabber." And the three bullies look at him, and they just like watch him, and he just goes by with a little grin on his face, and then he goes into his science class. I thought he was just going to grab the girl and give her a big kiss, but she's like, "Hi, Finny," and he's like, "Call me Finn." Boom, end of the movie. It's almost like, yeah, you know what? I'm a badass. And at the beginning, that kid Robin told him, you got to have to stick up for yourself. And you know what? He did stick up for himself, and now everyone looks at him differently. So yeah, maybe some lifelong mental scars, but hey, if it makes you more confident, I guess more power to you. Okay. Now I'm done. It is 11:02 p.m., so I'm going to get this up in about 15, 20 minutes at the most. But that's it. I'm going to be back tomorrow talking more movies. I have no idea what tomorrow's movie is. I knew this would be today's movie. I knew it as of yesterday because I prepped. I planned ahead, but I have no idea what tomorrow's movie is going to be. But I hope you join me. I hope you do. So that's it. I want to thank everybody for listening. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Mastodon.social at Geek Mentality. But nobody cares about Mastodon anymore or Mastodon.social. So I keep saying it. I keep posting the episodes on there. But again, unless Twitter completely goes away, follow me there on Instagram. At Geek Mentality. In space. I don't know why I said that. And you can find the website on Facebook at Fans Not Experts. And the website itself is fansnotexperts.com. My dog is right up against, like I'm on the couch right now. I didn't fall asleep. I was very excited. She is smushed up against me. I hope I don't wake her as I slither up and go to the computer. But, yeah, that's it. You can find me here again tomorrow, and hopefully you'll be here too. So, that's it. See you tomorrow. And until then, though, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. The Indian food was delicious, and here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.